I think the first thing that comes to my mind whenever I think about this saying, culture beats strategy. Well, the guy out there that hit like a caveman, his name was Hunter Pence. Hunter Pence, if you watched him hit, if you watch how he hits and everything, and he just, you would be like, what in the world? But he was a big leaguer.
Yeah.
And he could hit the ball.
Yeah.
That's my physical definition of the saying, culture beats strategy, because that goes against all the strategies, all the X's and O's, and defies our. People will be like, oh, that's just one situation. That's a great situation to teach from.
Yeah.
It's because Hunter Pence, he believed like nobody else. When he stepped in that box, he didn't care what his feet was doing and everything. He had a system that he had in his head that he believed so much that he was a tough out and you wasn't going to strike him out. And he battled and grinded until he got that hit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Clearing the Bases, the podcast where we step up to the plate and dive deep into the world of youth baseball. I'm your host, Jimmy Filangieri. On this show, we discuss all things related to the preparation and development of youth baseball players, coaches, and yes, even parents. So sit back, settle in, and get ready to hear from some of the greatest baseball minds out there.
But I just grew up at a time where, blue collar. So therefore it was, dad's a truck driver. Mom worked for the local paper. So we wasn't like bad, but we definitely was not good. We was right there in the middle. But they taught me that principle. You get what you give out.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You get what you give out. And if you want the world to open up to you, you need to open up to the world.
Yeah.
And when people help you, don't forget. They just instilled all of those things inside. And when you get an opportunity to bless somebody, bless them.
To be able to reach the highest levels of this game, you got to work hard. You got to get in the cages. You got to do your strength and conditioning. You got to throw your bullpens. There's all of this physical stuff that you need to do, and you need to work hard at it. But don't forget that you also have to get better at the mental side of the game. And one of the ways you can do that is increase baseball IQ by downloading and using the 6-Tool app.
For baseball coaches like you, every game brings measurable progress. However, game time isn't the time for trial and error learning. Instead, have a proactive approach. Use 6-Tool, the best baseball player development tool on the market. We provide a platform to level up your coaching strategy by helping you to quickly identify and address your players' knowledge of the game. By using our easy-to-implement interactive player quizzes, you can assess position-specific issues, overall baseball IQ, and much more. Win more games and develop better overall baseball players with effective off-the-field training. Visit us at 6-tool.com. 6-Tool. Get ahead in the game.
Well, everybody, I just went back and I looked. It was 11 years ago when I first saw our next guest. And I got to tell you something. When I first saw that video, it was on YouTube. When I first saw that, I was like, wow, this guy. I wanted to just get up and run around the block a few times after listening to that. So I'm going to tell everybody right now, what you better do is you better strap yourself in your seat, because you're going to want to do the same thing. So today's guest played his college ball at North Carolina A&T, where he was inducted into their Hall of Fame in 2022. He was then drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals and played professional baseball for 7 seasons. Now, I don't even know what to tell you. He does so many things that are just unbelievable. He's a motivational speaker. He's a music artist. He's into so many things, motivational nuggets. His motivational speaking is geared towards mindset, youth sports, and the power of belief, which anybody that listens to this show knows that anything that has to do with the mind, mindset, belief, motivation is right up my alley. So everybody sit down, relax, and Let's welcome CJ Beatty. Thanks for coming on, CJ.
Hey, man, thank you. It's an honor to be on this one, man. I mean, anytime you get a chance to be on a podcast with like-minded individuals, I'm like, yo, sign me up, man. So, I mean, when it came across my desk, I said, heck yeah, we got to put this on the calendar.
Well, I appreciate that greatly. And yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, I've been following you for years on YouTube. I watch, as a matter of fact, your song, okay, and everybody out there, I don't know if I even mentioned that he's a music artist, okay? So years ago, there was a guy who worked for me, okay, and we were talking baseball, and I was talking about bunting and this and that, and he says to me, he goes, wait a minute. He goes, there's no bunting in baseball. He goes, I don't bunt. He goes, I'm swinging for the fences like that. The very next day, he comes in and plays Mr. I Don't Bunt, which is one of CJ's songs. And I got to tell you something. I laughed hysterical. It was beautiful. So,
Yeah, that song still, I still go cat and mouse, and I go back and forth with some coaches like, hey, CJ, I love the song, but you're going to have to figure out how to make some songs that's going to help me instead of hurt me.
Yeah.
'Cause I got kids looking down the third baseline acting like they don't see me swinging for the fences. And I'm like, sorry, coach. I'm sorry. I'll work on it.
yeah, I mean, I have to tell you, that is one song that I will not allow to be played at my practice.
I know. Mr. I Don't Bunt typically sits on the bench these days.
Exactly. So, especially at the high school level. So,
Yes, for sure.
So let's jump into a little bit, okay? So again, I mentioned you're known as the baseball and softball motivator. So, you know, how did you get involved? I mean, you went from pro ball right into this. How did it happen?
Well, so really what happened, I was a motivational speaker. I started that while I was still playing independent baseball. It was one of those things. I was sitting on the twin bed in Australia, and I was trying to figure out what was next. If that door of baseball finally closes, what do I need to do? Do I need to go back to school, finish out my degree? You know, I just was at a crossroads. In the off season since 2009 when I got drafted, I was already doing public speaking, just giving back to my community. Nothing too major. And I think at that point, you know, I was getting, you know, a couple $100, and that's pretty good when you're a motivational speaker. You know, somebody blesses you with $250 as an honorarium. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I like this. Because I'm just being me, and somebody's giving me a couple $100 to be me. So I said, man, this is awesome. But when I decided to make it a career choice, and go after it as an entrepreneur, I was in Australia, man. I was just like, I don't see, you know, nobody's kicking my doors down for me to get another opportunity at affiliated ball. I'm 26, going on 27, and, you know, late 20s, if you're not at the AA mark by then, you know, you can start counting your chickens because they're about to hatch. But I literally sat on the FaceTime call with my mother, and we were just going through, like, what could I do next? And I answered the question, well, Ma, it's kind of rhetorical at this point because baseball's been my life. She said, well, CJ, there's got to be something else that you're good at. Thought about it. And I said, well, people say they like to hear me speak. You know, when the principals come to me after I deliver a speech at the elementary school and middle school and high school, they're like, man, nobody else came in here to kept the students' attention the way that you've done. You have a gift. But let me ask you a question, Ma. Like, can I make that a career of being a motivational speaker? And she says, well, I will say this. If you get real good at it, they pay real good. And I was like, they pay real good? What do you mean? Man, I went to Google right then and there. And I typed in motivational speaking salaries. And when I started seeing the thousands upon thousands of dollars that people are getting paid for 1 hour, I was like, whoa, sign me up. So I was right then, it lit my fire. I said, well, if people, and this is the truth, if people are going to pay me top dollar to do what I would do for free, then that's the job for me. And I lived by that. I was just like, man, look, I just enjoyed helping people get back on track. I love the thank yous that come at the end because I thought it was over for me. I love hearing from parents and youth coaches, and I just love that. That's that give back component. So I just went down that path. The next thing I had to realize was, like, what's the brand gonna be? At that point, I just had Motivational Nuggets, and I was speaking to any and everybody. And one of my mentors was like, dude, you need to find your niche in the marketplace. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? He said, well, CJ, you'll never be able to get top dollar being a person that speaks in general. It got me thinking. I said, okay. And he used this as a reference. He said, an eye surgeon makes way more money than a general surgeon does. I'm like, oh, now I'm getting what you're putting down. And I said, okay. He said, so you need to find out within motivational speaking, what would somebody pay you top dollar to speak about? Thought and thought and thought. We was at dinner. And I said, well, it has to be something in baseball. And he was like, okay, dig deeper. What inside of baseball? And I said, okay. I said, I don't want, because at this time, I'm on Instagram by this time. And I said, I don't want to get in the rat race of saying that I'm the guy that you should come to for hitting. I don't want to be that guy. I see what happens in the comments, and it's bloody in those comments. It just gets terrible. Like, I don't want nobody to call out my rookie stats of 190. I don't want them to see that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna stay away from that. He said, all right, well, what else? I said, okay. And that got me thinking. I got real serious, and I was just like, you know what I'm passionate about? He says, okay, tell me. I said, the mental side of the game. He said, well, why are you passionate about that? I said, because I missed it. I missed it. I didn't know nothing about it. And by the time I was out of playing ball, I finally realized and tapped into mental toughness, but I'm at the end of my career. And if I could go back, that's what I would want to do. He says, that's what you do because you're passionate about it, and it's a niche within your speaking career. Baseball, mental toughness, be the guy that they come to for that.
Yeah.
Bingo. So then I had to come up with a name, and the name was the Baseball Motivator. So I said I became the Baseball Motivator back in 2015. So I've been a professional speaker, like getting top dollar. Well, I ain't gonna say top dollar. We're getting paid to speak since over 10 years now, man. So that's how it all started. And in 2018 is when softball started. Was when I incorporated the softball brand because too many people were saying like, "Why don't you come over here and talk to the girls too?" I was like, "Are you sure?" And I tried it out and loved it because the girls are easier to talk to than the boys, and they are more engaged and
they're more open.
More open to telling the truth on how they feel and not being embarrassed about what somebody might say. And then that's when the baseball and softball motivator brand was born.
Well, I got to tell you what you do, and I've talked to many people. The first one that comes to mind is Steve Springer, who goes out and they talk to people.
Love Spring.
Spring's great. What you guys do is not easy, and I want people to understand that because you make it sound real easy. I wanted to talk to people, so I got a niche and I went out there and I talked to people. Well, I've been doing this podcast for going on 5 years, okay, and I do great one-on-one like this. We're great. We can talk all night. I'll be fine. You put me in front of 5 people and I freeze.
Not 5, man. Not 5.
Well, not many more than that, I'll tell you that.
I understand. But I definitely get where you're coming from. It's different. And I would say when I had my first bite at doing a speaking class, like a workshop, when I thought I was holier than thou and I done got views on YouTube and I'm above this, man, I got humbled quick. When you're in front of people trying to speak and learn how to do it properly, voice inflections, eye contact, hand gestures, working a room, the power of the pause, all these things I knew nothing about. When trying to incorporate that in the speaking, non-use words, no ahs, so's, that right there was tough for me. And I sat in front of, I'm talking about I done spoke in front of hundreds of people at one time. and I was standing in front of 12 people in the workshop trying to make sure that I wasn't robotic. And I'm like, today, well, I'm CJ Beatty, and I'm from, put my shoulders down. Okay, my shoulders down. And I was just like, oh my God, this is madness. I'm sweating. I'm like, it's only 12 people in here. So I can understand if that made me somebody that I thought that I could speak in front of anybody. If that particular workshop made me sweat, I can imagine if you don't technically have it, well, I can imagine how it feels.
Yeah, I mean, with me, I can tell you, it depends. Okay, so in other words, if I'm talking to a bunch of coaches, yes, I freeze up because I feel that there's always somebody out there that's looking at me saying, this guy's full of crap. You know what I mean? So I kind of freeze. But like if I'm talking to like my players' parents, like in a parent meeting, and there's, there could be 25, 30, 50 parents in there, I'm fine. I go out there and I do my thing. I'm good. Okay. But, I've done coaches clinics and I'm talking to coaches and I'm just like stuttering and stammering and like I don't know what I'm talking about. So
yes, I understand. It's just, man, it's something about being on that stage. But I tell you what, that just, that can segue into why I love it so much. It's an adrenaline rush, man. People say, hey, man, CJ, because when I retired from playing ball, I didn't have an illustrious big league career that we all dreamed of having. But when I retired, I was still physically capable. Matter of fact, I was still getting strong.
Yeah.
But when I retired, what helped me to transition into motivational speaking, it was the adrenaline, the passion, the love of helping people. You know what that is? What I was looking for? I found purpose.
There you go.
And when you find purpose, there's no better feeling than that.
Yeah.
People aren't going to understand it because, my family didn't at first. I mean, who would understand your son when he's physically capable of, possibly going overseas to play in Japan and further his career and to try to get back into the affiliated ball one more time or whatever, keep it going. Hey, man, I want to stop and be a speaker, entrepreneur. Nah, I tasted purpose.
Yeah.
That's what really helped me. And when you taste it, there's no better feeling. You feel like living.
Yeah.
Like you feel like, man, this is what life is like.
Yeah. I mean, I could say the same thing with me as far as coaching is concerned, because that's the way I feel about coaching, that's my purpose. That's what I was put here to do. And, I do the best I can. I study hard and I try to be the best coach that I possibly could be because I enjoy it. I love it. Like you said, I would do it for free if, if I had to.
I'm telling you.
It wouldn't even cross my mind twice.
People don't understand that. They have no idea, especially all of my followers and fans out there, that here in my hometown of Winston-Salem, even to this day, if my schedule allows it, my team at Beatty Enterprises, they rag me because they know that I could possibly generate another 6 figures a year by coaching people one-on-one with business, being a business coach, meeting up with people, and helping them out. I mean, hey, for the weekend, 5 slots, $1,000, $1,500 for the weekend. Come and work with me, and I'll help you brand strategy and all this stuff. Right? This is the stuff that I do for free, and my people ride me because I'm like, it's just you don't understand how it makes me feel. Because at one point, I was that person. Yeah. At one point, I was somebody that was just wanting help to get back right. So me giving it back, meeting at a Panera Bread and saying, bring your notebook and just listen, like that's an adrenaline rush for me to like help somebody believe in themselves or get back on track. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so true. I mean, when I got hired at this, where I'm coaching now, it was funny because I went through the interview process and, he called me, the AD called me up and he said, we're going to hire you. And great, okay. And I get the ball rolling. And I would say I was there probably close to a month. And one day he calls me in. He says, Jim, do me a favor. He said, come in my office. I said, yeah, what's up? He goes, you never asked me how much you're getting paid. So I looked at him and I said, all right. I said, what are you paying me? So he told me. I said, okay, that's good. Let's go get things to do,
Yes, and that's beautiful. And I first of all, thank you for that, man, because the world needs more people like that. And I know that you need money to pay your bills. I get that. But I just grew up at a time where, blue collar. So therefore it was, dad's a truck driver. Mom worked for the local paper. So we wasn't like bad, but we definitely was not good. We was right there in the middle. But they taught me that principle.
Yeah.
You get what you give out.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You get what you give out. And if you want the world to open up to you, you need to open up to the world.
Yeah.
And when people help you, don't forget. They just instilled all of those things inside. And when you get an opportunity to bless somebody, bless them. Don't think twice. Because not too long ago, you was in a situation where you were hoping somebody saw you, or hoping that somebody picked up the phone, hoping that you were in line long enough for an autograph, hoping that they selected you and not the next person. So at the end of the day, you don't forget where you come from. And that's why I say thank you, because without me even asking, this is not my podcast to ask you, but without me even asking, I know that you come from good stock, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm blue collar myself. I'm an electrical contractor. That's what I do for a living. And, I coach. I guess we could call it I coach on the side, but to be honest with you, looking in the next couple of years to be able to retire so that I could do baseball full time. But my brother's younger than me, so I got to wait till he's ready.
I understand that.
So let's jump into a little bit about, because I think I had said this to you in the email that I sent to you. Let's get into a little bit about, your presentation at the ABCA convention, because I thought it was fantastic. So,
thank you.
It was, for everybody out there, it was called the 3 Laws of Championship Communication. And why don't you walk us through that a bit?
Man, I tell you what, I came up with that because they typically when you bring me into a coach's clinic, they have a lot of guys out there doing the what is the X's and O's, the 1, 2, 3s of hitting, all of those things. So when it came down time, people bring me on to talk about mental toughness. They want me to talk about, connecting before correcting. They want to talk about, how can I get the most mentally out of my players? How can I get the most mentally out of my coaches? So this time, I spoke a while ago at the Mohegan Sun Coaches Convention up there in Connecticut, and I talked about it before, but this time I wanted to add a different spin. I wanted to dive deeper and pull out my 3 laws, what I believe wholeheartedly to be. And I mean, the first law is the law of personal development. I always start with that law is because the law of personal development is the foundation for what's to come. I can tell you on this phone, I can tell you on this call, I can tell you on this podcast, I can email you how I won a championship, how I laid things out, how I ran practices, how I governed my lineup, how I, pull people in and build out a pitching rotation, how I can tell you all of those things.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a solid foundation, you lose it when the wind blows.
Yes.
The wind could be adversity. You could win a few games in a row, but as soon as adversity hits, you don't know how to react or adjust because you don't have a solid foundation. You built a house on sand.
Yeah.
So at the ABCA, I think the first one is always the law of personal development. What do you have into place for you to grow yourself mentally? So when things do happen, you can withstand and be a rock for your staff and team. Because if you are weak mentally, you're the head of the snake. So wherever the head of the snake goes is where the body goes. Yeah. So that's why I start with the law of personal development to ask the coach, before we get into X's and O's or what to do for your team, let's talk about you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's very, very powerful because, again, like you said, personal development. If you are I don't care what level you're coaching, and you're not trying to make yourself better, then you're doing your players a disservice.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple.
A huge disservice.
Yeah.
And then the next one is the law of connecting. Well, now that we have the foundation set and you have a plan in place Monday through Monday for yourself on how you're growing as a coach and a leader, now we need to connect with our players. And the reason why the saying is connect before correcting, again, I got that from John Maxwell. Maxwell came to speak to us in spring training. Matheny brought him in, and that was his message, connecting before correcting. I thought it was mind-blowing because everybody knows about connecting before correcting, but nobody understands it. The reason why I say everybody knows because you've always been exposed to connecting before correcting in the form of one of your top 3 coaches. The person that's in your top 3 is typically a coach that connected with you before correcting. Yeah. That's when you've been exposed to connecting before correcting. Right. But you just didn't know it until we broke it down. And John Maxwell broke it down for me. You have to connect. How many coaches out there can regurgitate what they saw on YouTube, but then when they don't do it and you come down, when your players don't do it and I come down hard, the coach comes down hard on their players, and now everybody's like, it's a house divided because the coach is just demands. I don't understand it. I got rings. I got championships. Like, why are they not moving when I say move? Why they don't get it? I don't understand. You just become this case. I'm like, dang, dude, no wonder nobody wants to play for you.
Yeah.
Like, coach, can I ask you a great question here? Like, yeah, sure, what's up? Can you tell me the middle name of your shortstop?
Wow.
Can you tell me what his favorite food is?
I can't.
Matter of fact, your top pitcher, did you know that his dad served in the Marines and he got a Purple Heart? No, I didn't know that about him. Well, because you don't know these things about your players don't know you. And when you don't know somebody, it's hard to respect them. Like, dude, sir, excuse me, coach. If a stranger walked up to you and said, I don't like the way you're looking at me, and you say, I think you should respect me, first thing he's going to say is, why should I respect you? I don't know you. Yeah. I don't even know nothing about you. Why should I? That's your players looking back at you. So, yes, connect with them, ask questions, identify their weaknesses, talk to them more. Sometimes one of the biggest things that I encourage for coaches, I know you're limited on time, but some of the best practices are the things that are not done mentally, are not done physically.
Physically, yeah.
Like, you literally just meet in the classroom and let's talk. Let's talk. Well, hey, man, step up. You up next, CJ. Hop up in front of the whiteboard, and I want you to write down what you're thinking in your mind in your first at bat. Write it down for everybody to see. Let's just go through it. Yeah. All right, cool, great. Here's another one. Here's a red marker. Jason, go write yours down on the board, and let's compare. All right, and you, Steven, here's a purple marker. Go write yours on the board. All right, so what do we see in common right here? We're having class, and you'll walk out of that classroom session like, oh, shoot, some light bulbs are coming on. And then you as a coach is going to walk out of there saying, I have a better feeling of where I am mentally with my team.
That's fantastic.
Instead of us, all right, you know the drill, get loose. We got BP. Well, first of all, let's go infield, outfield. BP. We'll do a little bit of cuts and relays when we can. Catchers, you're going to go down. No. You're on a fast track to average.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that I believe, I don't get into the depth that you're talking about in terms of knowing the middle name and, knowing their favorite food, but I will definitely say that I definitely get to know my players. I am not an X's and O's type coach. I've never been. It's always, again, I end this podcast. You've probably never heard the end of it, but every podcast I end, it says people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Exactly.
And that sums up my coaching philosophy pretty much in that little blurb.
And I think that's phenomenal. And if you're listening on this podcast today, the principle is simple. Just get to know your players. Yeah. Like, literally get to know them. Yeah. And show that I don't care how corny it may sound. Some of my top coaches were absolutely cornballs. They were just goofy cornballs. Yeah. They socially awkward. because their lives have been on the baseball field for so long, they don't know what goes on outside the lines.
Yeah.
Their mattress, whenever we leave, is in center field. They don't know what goes on outside the lines. So it's just get to know them and show that you care by being consistent.
That's the key. That's a key.
You know?
Consistency. Yes.
Yep. And then the last law is the law of correcting. So once you have connected with them, now it's time to correct. But when it is time to correct, let them know why, and they'll respect it. They're respected when you tell them. So even if they don't understand, because you've made the effort to connect with them first, you have now developed a level of respect that if you have to come down hard and lay the hammer, that they might be a little upset, but they're gonna respect you enough to listen. And you're not gonna lose anybody because they know that you expect better out of them. It comes from a good place because y'all have connected.
Yes.
But if you put correcting before connecting, you are going to be the most inconsistent coach and lose players often.
Yeah.
If you put correcting in front of connecting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've said it a million times on this show that when you let players know how much you care about them and that you do love them, then when you do have to get on them, it's that much easier. And, let's face it, I do get on my players. That's needs to be done sometimes. But after every time that happens, okay, it may not be right that minute. Maybe while, we're walking back towards the school, I may go over, put my arm around them and say, hey, bud, come on, you're better than that. That's why I'm getting on you, because I know that you can be better than that. I love you to death, and I want to see you get to the best that you could possibly be. You okay, bud? Yeah, I'm good,
Bingo.
Coach. Boom, done.
Bingo. And I think a lot of coaches too, and that's why I love the ABCA setup, because you got an array of coaches in there, from first-time coaches, volunteer coaches. I'm just here so I don't get fined coaches. You get a lot of coaches in that building. But I think the most beautiful part is talking to those coaches that genuinely want to do better. And the other thing that I love about it is helping coaches understand that I know to keep jobs, you got to win. I get it. I understand that. But I just do believe that you'll end up in the right place and you'll have the right, let's just say the right record. And it might not be a record that your AD wants, but you're going to have a right record for you as a coach if you do right by those players.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, having a revolving door of people that you hurt, you could be a championship level coach, but never be in people's top 3.
Yeah.
And what kind of life and legacy is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
The most winningest coach of all time in high school history, and not in the kids' top 3.
Right. Yeah, that would be terrible.
Terrible. Oh, he won a lot, but off of the backs of other people, and he just didn't. And he did what he had to do to win, and those kids didn't feel seen. They just feel used.
Yeah.
One of my top coaches was from a team that we always got our teeth kicked in. I mean, I'm talking about absolute drug.
Yeah.
It was a boat race every game. But it happened to me at a young age that he taught me how to lose like a champion.
There you go.
And this was not a certified coach. This was a father.
Mm-hmm.
This was a rec ball coach.
Yeah. But he knew
and
people.
Back in those days, I got on that team because, when they do drafts, the first pick always goes to the weakest team. And I got selected. But it was just I learned how to lose as a champion. When I was like, man, this team sucks, man. I don't want to be on this team. He pulled me to the side, arm around, like you said. Hey, CJ, let me teach you something. Look at these guys around you. And I looked around. He said, these guys, they show up every day because they're just excited to be on your team. They're excited to be here to play baseball, to play with CJ Beatty.
Yeah.
And the best thing you can do is lead them. They might not make it to the – he said, I remember, he said, they might not make it as far as you're going to go because you're talented. But what you're going to have to learn is you're going to need to learn how to build these guys up.
Yeah.
Okay? These are your brothers, and learn how to build these guys up. Yeah. They might not make it to the highest level, but with your help as a leader, these guys can reach their true potential.
God bless them.
So whenever you see them mess up, just go over there and let them know it's okay. We got you. And that right there stuck with me. I'm 37 years old right now, telling you on this podcast about something that happened to me when I was 11 years old.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's what gives me goosebumps to talk about it, because I remember that coach in my life and how it made me feel. And I've now, when I go out and coach, I repeat, I reuse, I recycle that, and I put that back out there in the world, something that was given to me by somebody's volunteer dad at a rec ball situation when I was 11.
Yeah.
That's what a coach is all about.
Yeah, he may not know baseball, but he knows people. And that's what we do, is we coach people.
Yes. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, that's what we do. And yeah, I mean, I've had that similar conversation with people, because I'm sure you're aware of the travel ball versus community-based baseball now, that argue, oh, my kid doesn't play rec baseball because he's better than that. And I've had conversations with parents, and I said exactly what that man has said to you. I said, how about he goes and he plays rec ball, and how about he's the best kid on the team and he leads that team? How about he helps the other kids and helps them get better? And the parents look at me like, oh, I never thought of that. So one of the things that you say, and I love this, okay, you got to believe in yourself before anyone else will. And I think that is so important, because that is something that I see day in and day out, that kids just don't believe in themselves. Talk to me about that.
Again, it goes back to your core foundation. When I got an opportunity to be in network marketing for a solid year, and I went hard at it. And one of the things that network marketing gave me was personal development. They introduced me to personal development, because you got to have it in that industry. You got to have it in multi-level marketing. But one of the diamond leaders, in all the multi-level companies, you got your statuses, your pin levels that you try to reach and get. One of our diamond, next to the highest level, he stood up on stage when we was down there at one of those big conferences, and he said, you have to be a millionaire before the $1 million hits. And it got me thinking, and he explained it. He's like, it's like in baseball. If you got talent, by luck, you can make it to the big leagues. But it takes a real deep level of thinking and a foundation of mental toughness to stay. So anybody can strike lucky and become a millionaire, but to maintain the millions is what matters. So to believe in yourself before others believe in you, you can't fake it but for so long before people start to smell you. You can reek of self-doubt. You could put on a fresh suit and be like, man, this guy, just look at his confidence. But people can talk to you and start to hear that that's just a suit. That ain't just a man in the suit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you need to train yourself to build confidence up, to believe in yourself. It has to become a lifestyle. Too many people that struggle with confidence and belief in themselves is because they think it's an on-off switch. They think it's something that they can just crack open a book and read a few pages and be like, I got confidence. That's not how it works. Oh, man, I listened to this motivational speaking about CJ. I'm good to go now. That's not how it works. You got to have a plan of attack. It has to become a lifestyle. If you want to change your confidence, it needs to be something that you attack Monday through Monday. Yeah. And that's what I believe when I say, hey, you got to believe in yourself before others believe in you. Because if you truly believe in you, there's a plan of attack. I'm growing my mind. I believe I'm going to make it. I don't need nobody else to tell me I'm going to make it. I know I'm going to make it. People are going to start to believe it because you believe in yourself that much.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that a lot of times confidence comes from preparation. The more prepared you are, the more confident you're going to be.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and that's the first thing. Michael Jordan said that people that are not confident, they lack preparation. And then if you do what you're supposed to do, the reason why you still don't have confidence is because you don't call on it. It's two parts. It's either you're not prepared, and that's why your body is a natural response. I feel like I'm inadequate. I can't do it. Well, that's because your body knows that what you're asking it to do is not prepared for. Yeah. So you're like, I don't know if I can do it. That's right. You probably can't, because your body's like, we ain't practiced enough. And then the other part of it is the people that practice all day long, but they're scared of failure. So when they get into moments, they're like, they don't believe in themselves enough. So they don't call on it. That's what he meant by calling on it. Hey man, you put in the time, you put in the work. Now it's game day. It's time for you to call on it.
Yeah.
I am, I will, it's done. Use some affirmations. Go out there and kill it.
Yeah.
Let's go. You put in the work. Go out there and react.
Yeah. Yeah. Without a doubt. I mean, confidence is a big problem with kids nowadays. And I think that a lot of the reason is that, believe it or not, their confidence a lot of times is, I don't want to say killed, but I'll say knocked down. Believe it or not, by the people that love them the most, by their parents. And that's a shame, because most parents don't understand the game. They don't understand what you just mentioned about failure, that, failure is going to happen. They're paralyzed by that fear of, if I don't go 3 for 4 today, mom and dad are going to get on me in the car ride home. So they're paralyzed, so they're not confident. So they go up to the plate saying, I hope I get a hit, instead of I'm going to drive this ball right back through the pitcher's forehead. They don't have that kind of mentality.
Very much so.
Yeah. So, and that's a shame. The parents are the ones, and I talk to my parents. I said, listen, I always tell them, I need you as my ally. I need you to help me. We're trying to build these guys up. We're not knocking them down. They go 0 for 4. I'm patting them on the back, say, come on, we'll get them tomorrow. It's the way it works.
Yep.
So, there was another thing that I wanted to ask you about, and I can't find it, so I'm just going to shoot off the top of my head.
Don't worry, I'm ready. I'm ready for you.
So, let's say we got a big moment in the game, bases loaded, game on the line, pressure situation.
Yes.
How would you talk to an athlete to tell them to mentally prepare for that moment?
Well, first, the first thing before I got into that specific moment, I would talk about a core response to that. The core level of thinking that you need to be at in that moment is, in order for you to stay ready, in order for you to get ready, you must stay ready. In order for you to be ready, you need to stay ready, right? Even though that information, even though what I can tell them helps for the moment, I need that player to understand you should always be ready. That's how you stay ready. Always be ready. So now here we are, bases loaded. You're in a pressure situation, because if you stay ready, if you're always constantly going over your routine, if you're constantly, you're in your bed, tossing the ball up on the bed, listening to music, going through your routine, right? You're on defense and bases are loaded and it's 2 outs. You know what I'm saying? And ground ball hit to you, what you're thinking, because you're playing that in your mind over and over again. If the best way to get ready is to stay ready. You know what I'm saying? So, but in that situation, I would tell that player, like, hey man, first things first is you got to breathe. People don't understand that that is a most underrated skill, breathing.
Yeah.
Seriously, breathing. Because if I ask a kid, I ask most players, I ask grown adults, hey, what's the point in taking a deep breath? Clear your mind. Okay, what does it physically do to your body? It makes me feel better. I get that. What does it, like when somebody says take a deep breath and then relax and then blow it out, right? Other than it makes you feel better, what does it do? Do you know the scientific thing of what it does to your body?
Slows your heart rate.
Most people don't know.
Yeah.
It slows your heart rate down, but it also gives oxygen to the brain.
Yes.
And that oxygen to the brain helps you to calm down and also helps you to think clearly.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I didn't know. You're walking up there tense, not breathing, and you're just stressing and your anxiety, and you're coming up there, you're trying to breathe, slow down. Because if you take a deep breath, when your mind's racing like this and the anxiety's going, you take a deep breath, it slows down so you can start to think now.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, take a deep breath. Oh, let me make sure I keep my hands inside this ball. Let me make sure I stay down through the ball and through contact, like Coach been telling me what we've been working on. But when you forget to breathe, sometimes your body continues to go like this and your heart rate's going up and you forget to stay inside the ball and you end up dropping your back shoulder and you pop up in the infield and it's game over. And then once game over and they make that out and you're out, now your body slows down, and that's what happens. Your body slows down because the moment's not big anymore, and then you start to reflect on what you should have done. And that's when you're like, man, I forgot to think about staying inside the ball. Oh my God. Breathe. So I would probably tell every player, breathe first. Take about 2 or 3 deep breaths before getting into that box. Breathe. Go over your routine. Trust it and go with it. You ain't got time to second guess. Games are reactions. Make your adjustment, pick it, and go.
Yeah. And I mean, I want all of the coaches out there that are listening to understand that is something that you need to work into your practice plan. So when you're in the cages, okay, and you're working on your hitting, you should have, I can tell you what we do is every pitch, they have to step out of the batter's box, focus on the barrel of the bat, deep breath in, fill their lungs, hold it, then let it out, and then get back in and go. Okay, we're training that so that when they do get into the game situation, that breathing comes natural to them. It's second nature. They just get in and they just do it.
Bingo.
Yeah, you have to.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy? Here we go. Here's the mental skills guy. That's something they're going to take into the workplace when their game comes to an end.
Yeah.
When they get in the tough situation, they might call time, or they might say, "Hey, I need to step out real quick." They're like, "Sure, it'll take a second," and they're going to step out. They're going to go behind that closed door. They're going to go to the restroom, and they're going to take 2 or 3 deep breaths.
Yeah.
It's because you, coach, you taught them that.
Yeah.
When the moment gets big, breathe.
Yeah.
That's why we say that this is more than a game. This is life.
Yeah, and no doubt. So, look, we've been, pretty much going on the mental side because that's what this is about. In your opinion, what should coaches be doing to teach that mental side of the game to their players? How would you suggest they do it? Because let me just say, because a lot of coaches don't know. They don't know how to present it, and they don't know how to teach it.
Yes, I think my big 2 things are a team book. Everybody should have a team book at the very least, and I would say a team book and a team notebooks. Everybody should have team notebooks, and everybody should have a team book at the core. I mean, that should be an absolute foundational move in your organization. I don't care if it's travel ball, middle school ball, high school ball, college. They should have a team book. A lot of times, what pains me is people will hear pro teams and college teams, right, especially the D1 level and above. They'll talk about, man, my whole team has books, notebooks, this, we have apps that we check in with mental this and that. And everybody else that's lower, middle school, high school, travel, majority of them just are in awe about, man, I wish I could do that. You can do that now.
Yeah.
Going to get a team book is not a lot.
Yeah.
You got 12 players. Do the math. $10 books, 12 players, $120. I'm not trying to count anybody's pockets, but that's not a lot of money to be able to change the mind.
Yeah.
Every year have a budget of $150 for books.
Yeah.
And read it together with them, because reading is fundamental, but also reading is power. When you get them to think differently, you're going to get things to happen differently for them in the games. But the next part is to get it to transfer on pen and paper, because a lot of things does not work for them because they keep it in their brain. They keep it in the cloud. You don't need to have it in the cloud. It's time to put pen to paper, because just like in the Bible, it says, write the vision, make it plain. They don't say think the vision, make it plain. You know what I'm saying? So write it down, and things happen when you put pen to paper. Yeah. That's when your body truly believes it.
Yes.
So I think that those are the 2 foundational things to start that process of introducing mental skills to your team, is getting them to read a book together. And then it's like food. Pick what you feel that they need. Man, I think we struggle with leadership. Find a leadership book. Man, I think communication is where we're lacking. Communication book that talks about it. You might find most leadership books, in order to be a great leader, you got to have effective communication skills. So most leadership books are going to cover all the things you need on your team anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you want to default, go with Maxwell or Gordon.
Yeah.
Those are two authors that are just going to be great for athletes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think those are the first two things. And I would maybe, if you have a group text with your players, man, every day, morning, I would say every day, it's just a clip. It's a million freaking videos to show. Maybe every day, every other day, every hump day, every Monday, every Friday, every game day, whatever you can do. I would, in a group text, send them a motivational clip from a motivational speaker or something motivation with a message saying this. Have a good day, fellas. Have a good day.
What I do with them is just what you said. They get clips. Now, they get all of this stuff, video stuff, links. They get all kinds of stuff every day. I wake up very early in the morning. I'm up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. And the boys get a kick out of it because they say, hey, coach, you text us at like 4:30 in the morning. What are you doing? You know? So, but here's the problem, CJ. Here's the problem. A lot of times they scroll past it. Okay, so I was starting to get the idea that that's what they were doing. And I said, okay, guys, I sent you something the other day. University of Arizona was in the cages. They were hitting. I said, everybody raise your hand. What color shirts were they wearing? And
wow.
I got like 2 hands that went up. I said, don't tell me what it is. Just raise your hand if you know the answer. And they didn't know. And I said, okay, guys. And, we talked about it. And I said, guys, I'm doing this not for me. I already know this stuff. I said, I'm doing it for you guys. So whatever, that was that. Then I use what's called the 6-Tool app, which is a baseball IQ app. Great tool, okay? You send out a quiz to the boys, 6, 7, 8 questions. They answer it, it grades them. And it's great stuff because you learn what they do know, what they don't know, and you could help them. They weren't the app tells me who took it and who didn't. That's a problem that we have. Is, the boys live in a world where, it's got to be this, it's got to be this. Otherwise, they don't want to know it. Mm-hmm. How do we overcome that?
You know what? I will say this. I'm gonna answer this in a very traditional way. And I know that the world that we live in, boosters and ADs of the days, they don't allow you to do this kind of stuff. But, well, one, let me tell you and all the other coaches, it's not your job to grow the tree. It's your job to plant the seed.
Okay.
If we get flustered every time somebody doesn't listen to us, man, you ain't gonna make it too long because a heart attack is waiting for you. Right? I'm just telling you, that stress is it's not good.
Yeah.
The best thing that you can do is understand you're not the grower, you're the planter. Some of the things here's a great one because we talked about it. My top 3 coaches wasn't my top 3 when I was being coached by them. I didn't like them when I was being coached by them. I had to graduate, move on, and reflect years later to realize that was a top 3 coach.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this question. Here we go. We're throwing it out there. When's the last time you seen a tree grow? Coach, when the last time you seen a tree grow?
Yeah.
You don't. You have to look back years and you'll be like, whoa, I remember when that tree was just a little twig. Look at it now. You can't just sit there and watch it grow.
Yeah.
Your job is to plant the seed. So if they scroll by it, you planted the seed. When you go and talk to them about the consequences, you planted the seed. You're watering the seed right now.
Yeah.
But it's not your job for it to grow. Because everybody's seed grows differently at different paces.
Yeah.
Where that branch might finally grow fruit, they might be in college.
Yeah.
And you know what? He'll be like, you know what? Back my high school coach, he had this thing that I used to scroll past, and I think that was the dumbest thing I could have ever done because I'm needing it right now. Yeah. But I'm so glad he didn't give up on me. He instilled that in me. I wasn't listening back then, but I'm listening now. Thank you, Coach. And they're going to look back and be like, dude, he was right.
Yeah.
Man, I had a coach that woke up every day at 4 o'clock in the morning. I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. But now I'm looking back like, man, he's inspired me, and he don't even know it. I ain't even talked to him in 3 years, 5 years, and he's inspiring me.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I was saying about the AD thing at the beginning is you got to walk the fine line. I know you do, but there always has to be consequences. I think you have to get all the way close as you can to the line, and you got to have some type of consequences. And it's unfortunate that the consequences, I know, as soon as that wrong parent sees or hears what you said or done, they're coming for you and they trying to get you fired. I get it. But there has to be some sort of, even if it's a light pat and that's the only thing that you can do, even if you can't sit him out the game, but he can take a pitch off, make the statement.
Yeah.
You're not starting today.
Yeah.
You're going in the second inning, but you're not starting today.
Yeah. I mean, that falls that falls under the accountability umbrella. If you don't have consequences, you're not holding them accountable.
Exactly. So I think that coaches, you're going to have to find how high and where you can take it. You got to find out how far you can take it with your AD, with your booster, wherever you're at. But take it to that line. Yeah. Every time somebody makes a bad decision, and there's got to be consequence, because the moment you don't react the right way, it's going to show the team that it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a situation this year. My two best hitters, my number one and my number two hitters, and I mean, they were good hitters. They each did something, and most of the time I'll get upset. It has to do with something with a mental mistake where I believe you're not focused, and you're not paying attention, that type of thing I'll get upset about. Or it'll be lack of hustle, lack of drive, lack of motivation. Those are the things I'll get upset about. So anyway, these two guys, they did something where one guy ran down to first base and peeled off before he got to the bag. That does not happen on my team. Doesn't happen, okay? So he did that, and I don't remember what the outfielder did, but whatever. The very next game, they were both on the bench, and everybody came to me and they said, Coach, how could you put them on the bench? They said, we need their bats. I said, listen, go out and win the game without them. And then I sat them down and I talked to them. I said, do you guys know why you're here? And, they said, yeah, Coach, I did this, I did that. And I said, okay, good. Did we learn anything? Yes, Coach. Okay, let's go back to work. And it never happened again. I held them accountable. Mm-hmm. You have to.
Very much so. And coaches, I know it's going to hurt you sometimes to even consider taking your best bat out the lineup, but it's not about winning. Yes. It's about winning mentally. Yeah. You got to win them mentally. You have to be the captain of their mental ship.
Yeah.
Right? The captain of their mental ship. You got to steer them.
Yeah.
When you allow them to not be accountable for their actions, you're steering them in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So when they finally leave you and somebody else has to pick them up, now I'm over here like, oh, that'll never work. On the bench. And he's like, well, I always done this. Well, not here. On the bench.
Yeah.
And now you got a kid that had all the upside in the world on the bench and ruined his career in baseball because of something that you chased. You chased trophies instead of chasing mental lives.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's one more thing that I want to get into because I don't want to keep you, because I could keep you here all night. Culture beats strategy. I love that phrase, okay, because I think it is so spot on. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Culture beats strategy. Yep. I think the first thing that comes to my mind whenever I think about this saying, culture beats strategy. Well, the guy out there that hit like a caveman, his name was Hunter Pence. Hunter Pence, if you watched him hit, I mean, if you watch how he hits and everything, he just, you would be like, what in the world? But he was a big leaguer.
Yeah.
And he could hit the ball.
Yeah. That's
my physical definition of the saying, culture beats strategy, because that goes against all the strategies, all the X's and O's, and defies our. People be like, oh, that's just one situation. That's a great situation to teach from.
Yeah.
It's because Hunter Pence, he believed like nobody else When he stepped in that box, he didn't care what his feet was doing and everything. He had a system that he had in his head that he believed so much that he was a tough out and you wasn't going to strike him out. And he battled and grinded until he got that hit.
Yeah.
Right? And it wasn't the best way, the best looking and all that. But I think coaches need to learn from that is if you get them to believe in themselves, if you get the culture, the atmosphere in your locker room, on the bus rides, on the trips, throughout the school, when they're off the field, hanging with each other, picking each other up, holding each other accountable, that culture in that locker room, on that team, that's going to win ball games.
Yeah.
Because if I can go get a culture together, the athletes will emerge together. And the ones that are not as talented, they'll start to play on higher wavelengths because you got people reaching down, pulling them up.
Yeah.
You got people holding each other because they're starting to play for each other. That's what they mean by strategy. Here's another one. Strategy can be bought. Culture can't.
Yeah, I like that.
I mean, you can go out and buy strategy.
Yeah.
You can get a couple transfers in, couple pitchers, strategize on how we're going to win the conference. But culture takes time. It's gritty.
Yeah.
It's going to be some arguments.
Yeah.
It's going to be some stepping on toes. It's going to be some fights. It's going to be some humbling.
Yeah.
Some pride is going to get hurt.
Yeah.
But that's building that culture. You can't buy that.
Yeah.
You got to go through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what I mean. If you're a coach that wants to win a championship, I think the championship has to start within the championship culture.
Yes.
Goes back to saying you got to be a millionaire before the $1 million. If you want a championship trophy, you need to build a championship locker room.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's fantastic. And again, it's something that you have to put a lot of effort into. And because I'm guilty, I raised my hand, I'm guilty. This program, I mean, this is my second year with them. So, and the program had no culture. It had nothing. Okay. And, year one, I'm beating my head against the wall. So now year two, I'm beating my head against the wall less. Okay. All right. And I could see the process of developing that culture is taking hold. Now, I don't believe you can do it in 2 years. It's just we don't have enough time to do it. But, yeah, the coaches have to understand that building that culture is a process. You don't walk in and say, this is my culture. Okay, guys, let's get to it. That don't happen.
No, it's definitely not. You got to go through it in order to get it.
Yeah. And I actually said it wrong because I should never say it that way. This is not my culture. This is our culture. Okay. And it takes time.
Yep. And it takes time. I like that process.
Yeah. So, all right, listen, CJ, this has been fantastic. I can't thank you enough for coming on. I learned a lot. I'm a better coach now than I was an hour ago.
Thank you. It was fun, man.
So why don't you, before I let you go, why don't you tell everybody how they could reach out to you, how they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, for sure, man. If you're on IG, I'm on IG heavy. And on Instagram, CJ Beatty 44. And then if you're a TikToker, like the thumb through, appearing on there, CJ Beatty. Not 44, but just CJ Beatty. You'll see all of that. See if you want to learn more about me and getting in contact with me about opportunities, go to my website at cjbeatty.com. But other than that, man, I'm here. I'm here to help you guys, man. I think my biggest thing is help as many people before my time expires on this earth. So if you need some help, hit your boy up. Let's get you seen. Let's get you heard. Let's get you to higher levels.
Yeah, like Butch Chaffin says all the time, he's trying to leave fingerprints wherever he can leave them. And
exactly.
And I love that. So thanks again, CJ. Have a good night, and we'll talk sometime.
Appreciate you, big dog.
Now, I warned you to strap yourself in and get ready for the impact of this conversation with CJ Beatty. CJ didn't just join us today. He actually lit a fire. His words weren't about theory. They weren't about hype. They were about purpose, action, and more importantly, heart. And I really feel that he reminded us that coaching isn't just about wins and losses. It's about lives. During the conversation, we talked about we're not coaching players, we're coaching people. Coaches need to be consistent. They need to be constantly pouring into others and being the kind of leader that young people can trust, follow, and become better because of that coach. This episode was really more than a conversation. It was a challenge, let's call it that. It's a challenge to lead with energy. It's a challenge to coach with love. And it's also a challenge to be disciplined as a coach. I guess if there's one thing that you should take away from today, it's this. You don't need to be perfect to make an impact. You just need to be present. I want to thank CJ for the truth, the passion, and the reminder that we're called to something bigger than just a scoreboard. So, if you enjoyed today's show, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Visit the website at thectbshow.net. Listen to your favorite episodes and please leave us a review. You can also reach out to the show on social media, X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and get this, the old man has finally got us on TikTok. Keeps me young. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, please drop us an email at clearingthebases@gmail.com. Your feedback helps us bring you the best content and reach more people in the baseball community just like you. And also, let me know if you'd like to be a guest. Until then, coaches and players, keep practicing, stay positive, and remember, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Thanks, everyone, and I'll see you on the next one.